And welcome to Food Prep Live. If you want to lose 5 pounds forever, this is the place to be. We're going to talk all things urges today. I have amazing information. So here's my thought about this. I have so much to talk about today, and we're going to try to, by the end of the call today, give you something really amazing to eat for the week. This mushu chicken lettuce wrap and the the word easy, no mayo coleslaw. So if you are cooking with along, not a problem at all, but you may want to rewatch this for the content of the urge talk. So just want to put that out there. So thank you. Welcome. So here's what's going to happen today. First, I'm going to explain. You can prep alongside me if you like. You do not have to. You can be on camera if you like. You do not have to. If you wanted to ask a question, just wave at me. If you're on camera, wave at me. If you're not, just simply raise your hand. There should be a little button down below in reactions, or mine actually has a raise hand button. Every Zoom is sort of different. So look for that if you want to try to grab my attention. If you don't have the recipe yet and you are prepping alongside me, here is the link for the recipes, which you should have gotten in some emails ahead of time, but just in case, it's in the chat link. You can just grab that and print it out or take a look at it. Just so you know, today's session will be recorded. I will be getting the replay to you within 48 hours after the call. Usually it's a little sooner. It will also be available over on YouTube. So if you want to like direct a friend over there, you can do that as well. So as we cook, I'm just going to be sharing some stories, asking some questions. I'd love for this to be interactive. So get ready for some things to share if you would like. And then at the end of the call, there's going to be an exclusive invitation. Editing will happen. The Lose It Forever weight loss program, which is an amazing group of women who get together. We get together weekly and we talk all things weight loss. I do a little teaching and a little bit of coaching, and I'm going to explain exactly what that process looks like, what that call looks like, what the program looks like at the end of today's call. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy. I have been overweight my entire life. I basically don't remember a time when I wasn't struggling with my weight. I've lost 80 pounds through a coaching program. And before I found my first coach, I spent so many years yo-yo dieting. I would lose weight, but was unable to keep it off for good. I felt discouraged and defeated and just so hopeless. I was over 50. I still do have Hashimoto's, thyroid disease. I was tired. I tried so many programs, but nothing was sustainable. So once I did lose my weight with that program, with that coach, I decided I wanted to make sure that every woman had the opportunity to feel as amazing in their body as I did. And so in 2022, I got certified as a life coach. And now I've been helping women to do the same thing ever since. So I began the Lose It Forever group coaching program to able to share those tools that I have apply all the time. For those of you who are interested, I'm putting the link in the chat. So grab that if you want to take a look at what that program looks like. I basically have started my experience with out of control eating. So that's what we're talking about today as urges. I started that process at a very early age. Let me just quick. Um, Basically, I can remember we had a freezer in our we had like this little extra room, like a 3-season room, I guess, that had our freezer in it. And my mom would put tasty cakes in there. For those of you who are in the Philadelphia area or the East Coast, tasty cakes are a thing. She would freeze them, and I would sneak those. The other thing I was thinking of, like, when was my earliest remembrance of when I was starting to do like eating out of control? And it was when I was 3. I actually don't remember it, but I ate 2 bottles of baby aspirin when I was little because they were these St. Joseph's baby aspirin. They were, orange flavored. They tasted like orange sweet tarts. And I ate 2 bottles of those. So it's interesting that even before my first memory, I had done that because I loved the taste of it. And then I remember the stories because my mom and dad told me that they had to give me like Ipecac to like, because I could have been really dangerous for a little kid to do that. But think about that. That's when this started, right? So no shame around this, but just thinking about like that's as early as I can remember. Um, Sneaking food. My mom was we were in charge of Girl Scouts. We had a candy. So besides cookies, we also sold candy. And my mom she was the rep, the mom to do that or whatever. And actually, as I'm telling these stories, I'm going to start prepping the chicken. We just have to shred the chicken. I only need like a couple cups. So I'm just going to start, as I'm talking, I'm just going to shred the chicken. Um, that when she, by the way, garbage bowl, in case you didn't know, that's an amazing thing to have for all my scraps and trash and stuff like that. That she was a, we had a pallet. If I can remember, I remember it was like a pallet, like a wooden pallet full of this candy. It was peanut brittle that we would sell that I was supposed to be selling. And somehow the count was always off because I was eating like containers and containers and containers. So when I talk about eating out of control and urges, I know what I'm speaking of. I thought that this was just a pattern in my life. Of course, I was very ashamed of it and discouraged and thinking, how on earth am I ever going to learn to not do that? So what we're going to do first, for those of you who are cooking alongside, I was nobody here, I don't believe anyone here live is cooking alongside, but for those of you watching the replay, I am shredding the chicken. We're going to just shred the chicken into bite-sized pieces, or you can either cut it or shred it. I like it shredded. I like it a little more shreddy. And then we're going to mix up the sauce that goes on the mushu chicken. So, um, when I was trying to think, when I was thinking about urges and things like that, for those of you who would like to share, if you want, is there a time of day that you feel the urge is the strongest? Is there, like, for those of you who are wanting to share, you don't have to, but you can, or you can type it. For those who are not on camera, you can certainly type it into the chat. And I'd be happy to read what you write. Can be anonymous. You can just say, just leave my name out of it, and I'll share your answer. But is there a specific time of day that you're noticing urges? So for me, go ahead, Sue. Yeah, appreciate
Um,
it.
for
Yeah.
me, it's always in the evening after
Like
dinner.
what time? After dinner? Okay,
After
so
dinner,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a very popular one. That was for me too, especially in our family, was ice cream time, It was like the end of the day, relax, Yeah. Um, Mid-afternoon slump. Kathy mentioned there's a mid-afternoon. That is my time. But now that's my time. It used to be the evening, but now I've switched it. So I actually conquered nighttime eating, which with some help with my coach, I definitely conquered that. But nope, it switched over to another one, especially after work, like mid-afternoon. When I was working outside, when I was doing a sales rep, let me see, how am I getting about 2 cups here? I want to just make sure we have enough chicken. We like a lot of chicken in our thing. So I'm getting, it calls for about like a cup and a half. I like to do like 2 to 4. You do whatever you want, but I like a lot of chicken. Um, and Patrice says mid-afternoon as well. So yes, I think both can be really an interesting time of day to just notice that. And I do have some solutions for that, which I will be talking about. So thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate it so much. All right, let me just, with chickeny hands, I don't want to touch my mouse with chicken hands. Hang on. This. Oh. I have another question. Um, and we will be talking about that. So, are there certain foods that you have a hard time saying no to? Does that come up for you? Is there a certain type of um, food in particular? I would have said peanut butter ice cream, but mine is for sure mine. Um, Basically, any kind of ice cream, I would say I have a hard time saying no to. Um, but sweets, Danishes, pastry, anything baked. I'm like a big fan of all the baked. Um, okay. One person says ice cream, but only in private. And another person said anything chocolate. Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, for some, um, chocolate is a big thing. Interesting. Thank goodness that's one of my. I can say, if it was like a pastry was here and chocolate, I would be like, no, thank you, chocolate. But I'd be face down in the pastry for sure. So thank you for sharing that, you guys. All right, I'm going to take a break from the talk about the urges. Unless, Sue, did you want to share anything? And if you don't have to, if you don't want to, that's fine. Nope, you're good. Okay. So actually, I'm ready to make the sauce. So we're going to take a little time out about talking about urges, and we're going to make the sauce. So I have all the stuff here, but basically I've already poured it into things. So we have soy sauce. They're going to dump into my little, I like to use my measuring cup for that. So it's soy sauce. And there's the hoisin sauce is, I'm sorry, sherry. That's the sherry. That doesn't look like, oh yeah, 1 tablespoon of sherry. And I did look it up. If you don't prefer to use anything alcoholic, you can use any type of acid. So it could be apple cider vinegar, a squeeze of lime juice or lemon juice. You could use vermouth. I'm not sure if that's alcoholic or not, but dry vermouth is another option. Um, so uh, soy sauce, sherry, hoisin sauce, which looks like this. It's kind of sticky and thick. I didn't know the difference between hoisin sauce and soy sauce for the longest time. So I am ironically not normally the cook in the family. So I always like to find the easiest recipes, the simplest. This one's pretty quick. It can come together very quickly. That's my jam is easy and simple. So hoisin sauce, rice vinegar, which looks like this. This one, not the container, and that, and then um, that's it. Okay, and then I just stir this up with a little whisk. Just whisk this together. All right. So now I am going to go over to the stove. This is how easy and fast this recipe comes together. So I've got my sauce. I already pre-chopped some green onion. That's also on the recipe. Over here is, oh wait, this is for this. Sorry. For the next thing. The green onions are over there. There's also dark sesame oil. In fact, I'm going to get my pan started a while. You guys can hear me over there? Can you nod if you can hear me? And it's not a problem. Okay. So I'm going to do get my pan warmed up and um, a teaspoon of the dark sesame oil is that's what you're using to heat up to heat in the pan. So that's what this looks like, dark sesame oil. And then once that gets warm, you're going to put into that a tablespoon of garlic and ginger. And last month, I was like a commercial for Costco. This month, it's a Aldi's. Almost all my stuff came from Aldi's today. But anyway, there's pre-chopped, pre-bottled ginger and pre-bottled garlic. I'm a big fan. If you're I mean, some people want to chop their own. Obviously, you can feel free to chop your own, but I love this. It's just easy. It's all about the ease. So actually, I like this. So that once that gets hot, then you're going to add to that the garlic and the ginger together. And then, hang on, and open this up. And then that just cooks for the garlic and the ginger just cooks for 30 seconds. Then you're going to add the soy sauce, and then only cooks for a minute. And then you add the coleslaw to that. That simple. And then it just you heated everything through. So this is a chicken. You can see I got the chicken was a rotisserie chicken from Costco, $5. You gotta love it. And I just sort of mangled it a little bit and got it apart. All right. So now I'm going to just add the soy sauce and ginger. And I think it's on medium high for this. Okay, that might have been a little too high. Whoa. All right. And then I'm going to cook the soy sauce mixture. Okay, I may have gotten the pan a little too hot. You can see. I need another camera over here, but anyway. Now the soy sauce mixture is going to go in. And then next is the coleslaw and the chicken. That's it. This just cooks for a minute or so, like that. Get it a little bit cooking down. So there we go. And then we're gonna, a minute. And then you're gonna add the soy sauce in, add the coleslaw in, and a quarter cup of so I have a half cup of green onion chopped. I'm just gonna do a quarter cup because the rest is gonna be for garnish for the top. So just a half cup of a quarter cup of onions. I'm eyeballing it. And then add the chicken also. Because the chicken's already cooked. So that's it. And you let that kind of cook down, hang out in the pan, stir it up a little bit. And sort of try to make sure that that yummy soy sauce mixture kind of coats all of the coleslaw. What I like to do is I add some cashews to this when I eat it. So for an another additional crunch. The longer you cook it, the little soggier it gets. It also does heat up really well. I love it reheated. We all love it reheated. So that's been amazing. I'll turn that up a little. Yeah, and we're basically done. And then it just gets a garnish of so it's super fast. It comes together really fast. I'm a big fan of that. And then I want to show you how I do my lettuce leaves too. Now let this hang out here, turn that off, and then just garnish on the top. And there you go. That's what it looks like. Done. Very nice. Um, I do sometimes use tortillas. I forgot to get my lettuce leaves out. I want to show you guys something. It's pretty fun. So when I get lettuce, I wash it all on a weekend. I love to combine steps so that I'm not always having to start from scratch. One of the things about food prep that I love so much is that now this is done. Now on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat. It's already done. I'm going to put that into my Snapware dishes. And but last week I had gotten some uh, they're called baby romaine lettuce leaves for today for this thing, and they last a really long time in the fridge. And this is how I make them last longer, which is I roll them up in a paper towel like a sleeping bag. So if you just unroll this, and here are the lettuce leaves. They're dry, they're clean. I already did that last week, so I can actually eat today, right this minute, if I want to. Just scoop up the mixture and put it in there and enjoy. So there's that. So whatever I can do ahead of time, I like to do. So all about taking shortcuts for food prep. Um, Next, we're going to make a sauce. This is a no mayo sauce for some coleslaw. So this is from a friend of mine. She said she loved this recipe. She shared it with me. And the word easy is in the title. So it's just going to be super, it's going to come together very quickly. And that is um, basically, I have another, you can, on the recipe that I gave you guys, you can either cut up everything and, get a head of cabbage, get some carrots and, shred them or whatever. I personally am a big fan of whatever shortcut I can find. I'm going to pass on. So I just got the classic coleslaw from Aldi's. So that's going to get dumped into my big giant bowl. It always takes up a lot more space, if you think. So for today, this is for me for the week. I'm also going to be making coleslaw. I have another coleslaw mix for my mother-in-law. She needs it to be chopped up a little bit finer. So I'm going to chop it up a little bit finer, and she prefers the traditional coleslaw sauce or whatever you call it. So I'll make that for her later. But for now, I just wanted to share with you what I'm doing. So it's in a jam jar. 4 tablespoons of olive oil are in here. And I had a little spoon here. Yeah. Then you're going to add to that, I believe it's 4 tablespoons. So sorry, 8 tablespoons of olive oil in here. 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I use Bragg's, which has the mother in it, so that's what I like to use. And then 4 teaspoons of Dijon mustard go in here, and that would be Aldi's, Berman's, Aldi's. And then that's it. Just those 3 things. Basically, it's Dijon mustard, vinegar, and then I have in here salt, pepper, and I like celery seed. Where did I put that whisk? No, I used it. Hang on. Where did I put it? Okay, up there. I use celery seed and then so teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, and I did also a teaspoon of celery seed. Oh, that's right. I normally whisk it. This recipe calls for you to put a lid on the jam jar and shake it. And this might make more than because when you do the recipe as written, it actually has you, it might make more cabbagey stuff. So you might just keep an eye on this. This might make a lot of sauce. So if you have some left over, just you don't have to put it all on if you don't want to, is what I'm getting at. So that looks pretty well combined. So I'm going to just pour this over. And if you taste it and you don't like how you're not loving how it tastes, I believe you can add some sugar. If you would like, if you're normally used to like something a little bit sweeter, not a problem. So what I love this coleslaw with, I eat it. We have one of the things that we do for food prep is I go to Costco and I grab their pulled pork. And I love the pulled pork is pretty fatty and has lots of smoky flavor. And the coleslaw, this especially with this recipe, it cuts that a lot. So I love to have something like, or you could do pulled with the coleslaw. I love to have like um, sort of that like food combo thing. So of course it can just be a side dish, or it could be a main thing, or you could add shredded chicken to this, and that could be your lunch. You could add, it's any type of protein of your choice. It's very fresh. It's going to last longer in the summer because there's no mayo in it and it's really yummy. So easy peasy. That was really fast. So, oh, and onions. Now this says on here, you can scatter a few extra sliced onions over the top for decoration. So that's what I'm doing. It says 3 spring onions. Oh, they go in it. That's right. You can have onions in it. I didn't do that. But then you can have some more in the top. So, yep, I forgot the onions. So, because normal coleslaw mix does not come with onions, but that does add a nice depth of flavor to it. I just forgot to put them in as per normal for me. So, all right, next I'm doing a bonus thing. So that's 3 meals sorry, 2 meals so far. One of the things that I've been struggling with lately is I've noticed that I'm overeating nuts. So give me 1 second and let me get this stuff cleared away. I in my journey to lose weight, I learned that there are certain things I don't overeat, some things I do that I have urges with, certain types of foods. For the most part, I did not have a problem overeating nuts. But when I was working um, uh, in my previous job, I would be in the car for like 8 hours a day. And so I came up with this idea of making these little nut packs and I would keep them in the car um, so that I could just grab them and go first thing in the morning when I would hit the road or whatever. And so since I've been home, since I stopped working outside the home and just coaching full time and started my process full time here, I had this idea that I don't have that problem. So I'm not going to make these little packs because I'm at home all the time. So why should I do that? Till recently, it sort of just hit me and like the scale's not moving. What's going on? It's not doing what I would like. And I'm like, maybe I don't know how to lose weight anymore. Maybe I'm flawed in some way. Like I was coming up with all kinds of crazy reasons of why the scale wasn't moving instead of just looking at some data, which is perhaps I was overeating nuts. So I started looking at, so with one of those things that I teach is that you evaluate your food every day. And in that process, I discovered, oh, I'm not stopping myself. eating nuts. Like you didn't, like I said, it wasn't always a thing. And I was resisting, like I could feel myself resisting, like, well, I don't have that problem. Like it's not really a problem for me. So I somehow deluded myself into thinking that that would be going backwards or I would be failing in some way if I had to like use this as a crutch or something. I don't know. For whatever reason, it was like now that I see it, I was like, oh, silly. Like it's just fascinating how our brains work. So I am going to have my own back. I'm going to make my little nut packs and it's going to be amazing. So while we're talking, while I'm doing that, I thought I would continue on. It's super easy how I do this. I love to use, and you use a nut, your nut of choice. I just grab a bowl. I grab some walnut. Like I said, this is the Aldi's ad. Pecans. These are all from Aldi's. Not too expensive. It's a good deal. Pecans, almonds, and cashews. Cashews are the things that I've been kind of going to town on. So I'm going to just kind of limit those because I think I'm good with cashews. And then I grab a third of a cup containers and I mix these up. Another thing that if you want, if it's not summer and you want to put some chocolate chips in there, you can. And that's like a little bit of a dessert. Or you can put some craisins in there if you want. I just like plain old nuts. I grab them when I'm on the road. They're my like emergency nut pack. They can fit in my purse real easily. I'll be right back. The other thing that I want to get uh, is my scale. Because I believe, okay, so I have one of these little scales. So if you look on the calorie, not that I count calories, but it is especially because I'm starting to notice that I'm overeating that I want to try to just be aware of what is happening, right? So let me just zero this out real quick. Hang on, two, one. Okay. Um, and so on the box it says a quarter cup is a serving and it's 30 grams, which is that in ounces. You guys know what that is in ounces. Okay, 1 ounce. So 1 ounce is 30 grams. So 1 ounce looks kind of pitiful. I know I do know this, but it's still good to know that even 1 ounce of nuts is 210 calories. But what it does is, so I stick to around 2 ounces because I like, I'll show you in just a minute what 2 ounces looks like. So I'm doing of a third of a cup measure. And then this is right there, that's 1.5 ounces. So I typically do about two. And again, you don't have to eat the whole thing, but that is a significant snack when you think about it. So 1.78 is what that is. I want to say that sounds about right. So a little under 2 ounces feels about right to me. And that way, what happens is you can eat it and it causes a pattern interrupt. And we're going to talk about this. This is how you manage your urges because especially when you find yourself overeating something, if you can find, this is just, I did like a third of a cup, that's about 2 ounces, about right. So just around, I like to keep it around two. You decide how much that works for you this way. And then I just measure it. And as I'm like watching TV on a Sunday, I grab this thing and then all of a sudden I have nuts ready to go. Now, because I'm not on the road as much, um, I if I don't eat them as much, I may put them in the freezer because nuts can go rancid if you don't eat them right away. If you suspect that you're going to eat them right away, then I would just put them in a closet or something. But I typically keep, in fact, this is where these are stored. I always store my nuts in a freezer. That helps keep them as fresh as possible. So anyway, here we go. All right. So there's that. All right. I think I'm going to be done with that for now and put that aside. So for those of you who would like to talk about urges? So let me go into, I want to do a little bit of a chat with you about um, my manageable urge protocol. All right. So there are 3 stages of an urge. There's the before an urge, during an urge, and after an urge. So what I want to talk about is before an urge, to prep as much as possible, right? Plan your food. In fact, let me grab my rings. Plan your food, like I teach I'm at the Lose It Forever weight loss program. I teach you to plan what you want to eat every day, evaluate and plan what you want to eat every day. So you want to definitely plan your food. That helps with urges. How? Ahead of time, when you're having that afternoon slog like I do, right? At the end of the day, right before you, like either after you come to work, basically any after lunch before dinner. If you don't have something planned for dinner, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to starve. I don't have anything planned for dinner. And next thing you know, you're wanting to go face down in whatever is easy and handy. And like it kind of creates like panic. So I think of planning as like creating safety for me. It actually makes me feel more in control and more calm so that when something yummy comes by, I don't have the urge for it because I know I'm going to be eating this really amazing Mushu chicken. It's going to be so good. So I can put that aside. So planning, that's the beauty of planning. It helps reduce lots of issues like decision fatigue throughout the day, etc. Prepping food as much as possible so you can plan it ahead of time. One of the things that I know about me is I will not wash lettuce on a Wednesday. If I have veggies in the fridge, like most of us, we think, oh, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to get all this wonderful food. It's going to be amazing. We put it all in the fridge. And then in 3 weeks, there's a science experiment in there because why? We are not preparing for the person we're going to be on Tuesday. We were thinking that I know I'm going to hope for the best for Tuesday. I'm going to I'm going to hope for the best in my future instead of loving yourself where you are. Is this term that I've just come across? It's my new favorite thing. I'm going to be saying it all the time. It's called radical self-acceptance. If you can be radically accepting of yourself and just knowing who you are and accepting that there's nothing going wrong, you are not broken, you know that your future self might not feel like prepping lettuce on a Wednesday, and it's okay. Then you're going to be much more um, equipped to handle what comes up because you're going to be tired. You know that you think that life happens, you're in a rush, whatever. So the motto is plan for the worst, but instead of hoping for the best. So a lot of us get into this perfectionistic thinking, like, I know I'm going to be amazing in my future self. My future self's going to never make a mistake. My future's never going to have a problem. Um, but that's not realistic and it's not really helpful. And it's actually could be damaging because you'd be setting yourself up for potential failure in the future. Um, so when it comes to this is all before an urge, limiting portions for certain trigger foods. Like I said, nuts were not a trigger food for me in the past, but I learned, oh, guess what? They are now. So I am going to intentionally create portion control. I am not about counting calories normally. I am not about creating portioned out your food all the time, weighing things. Typically, I do not do that, except, I would just say, except for trigger foods. And trigger foods are chocolate, for me, pastries, ice cream, anything that so the way I teach, when we talk about weight loss, next week we're going to be talking about weight loss. I teach you how to trust your body and to listen to your hunger, your physical hunger signals. So when I am eating ice cream, I don't always necessarily notice my hunger signal. When I'm eating, so for some eating chocolate, it might be that way too. Or for those sort of foods that are having trouble. I also have another possibility for that as well. But I'm just saying one option is to just limit your amount of trigger food. So that's limit your portions for trigger foods. Um, Another part of before an urge, just don't get overly hungry. Like one of the things I teach is to listen to your body. Eat when you're physically hungry, stop when you're physically satisfied. So if you once you learn to notice physical satiation and hunger signals, um, you will not need to get to a point where you're overly hungry. So most diets, they give you like a points thing, and then you're like, well, I'm not going to eat any points till tonight. But meanwhile, you're like kind of cranky and angry and ready to like eat someone's arm off. And then what comes by? A donut. And you're like, okay, never mind. Forget that. I'm going to eat the thing because I'm overly hungry now. So just don't ever let yourself get overly hungry. Also, hunger is not an emergency. So until you learn that skill of managing your mind around hunger, let's just try to keep eating when you are just starting to notice being hungry, just start eating. Um, the next one of the ways this happens is when you feel overly hungry or you're feeling a little bit out of control hunger, like it's a intense hunger, you also might it feels urgent and then you want to skip ahead to so here let me back up. If you have a game and then you say, oh, you know what, the next day I'm not going to eat anything until 4 o'clock. So this is where that could show up for you, where you're like, okay, I'm going to pull it way back. I'm going to skip ahead. I was this number on the scale. Now I'm this number on the scale. And so tomorrow I want to get back there really fast. So I'm going to skip meals in order to sort of skip ahead or take a shortcut or try to get back there faster. I know this happens for me when I think when you see the scale moving up. And so what happens is you're setting yourself up for a big old fall because you're like, that's it. I need to punish myself because I gained some weight. And so I'm not going to eat. That's it. That's the answer. I'm not going to eat. Then you get overly hungry and you might tend to dive into an urge after that. So we'll be addressing that again later as well. Um, Make sure you plan food you actually want to eat. So for those who think, well, I'm on a diet, I need to eat diet food, I need to eat food that's really good for me, but you don't love it, this is why people regain their weight because they're not eating the way they want to eat in the first place. If you just eat the food that you only plan the food you actually want to eat, you eat it when you're physically hungry, you stop when you're satisfied, you will lose weight. I know because that's what I did. If you think that it has to look a certain way and you have to eat certain foods or eat a special way that you don't love, yeah, so if you want to eat a special way and you love your reasons, that's different. If you're eating a special way because you think you need to punish yourself and eat a specific way, then you will not be able to lose weight. Or you will regain it because you won't be able to stick with it. You won't be able to stay on that process. This is the losing it forever. This is what I'm talking about. When I talk about losing it forever, we're going to create a process that feels so doable and so easy that you want to keep doing it. You don't ever want to change it. So part of that is planning food you actually want to eat. Another one that might be just something to notice is eating food that truly satisfies. So one of the things I learned in Weight Watchers was remember those Weight Watchers like cakes and they had the snack wells and they were filled with so many like fake ingredients and they were never really satisfying to begin with. So your friends are fat, fiber, and protein. Whole foods, not overly processed. Just start noticing how you're feeling when you're eating certain foods. I had a situation just come up recently with Yasso bars. So we got these kind of big old case of them from Costco of cookies and cream Yasso bars, and they're tasty. They're pretty big. They're only 90 calories. I noticed that when I ate them, they did not satisfy. I thought, if I'm going to eat something sweet, maybe I'll just eat the ice cream. Maybe I'll just like a quarter cup of ice cream would have been a much better choice than this big Yasso bar that like felt like I didn't eat anything. And then I was like, next thing you know, I'm rooting in the pantry. Guess what? For the dang cashews, right? Because I knew that would stick with me. So it's interesting. It's a constant evolving process, and I'm right here in it with you guys. So very interesting. One of the other things so you can decide what you want to do about that. You can just noticing foods that satisfy whether you want to keep them or not. So the Yasso bars, I don't need them anymore. I did the same thing with crackers. I noticed that I was at my sister's house and my cousin brought in a box of wheat thins. And next thing you know, I was like literally could eat the whole box and not feel full. And I was like, well, this is not worth it then because I don't need it to do it that way. I don't need that. So I actually eliminated crackers from my plan because I don't need them. And I like my reasons. It's an easy thing for me to pass up now because they don't satisfy. And I love that. I love my reasons. So noticing your patterns is next. This is all before the urge, just so you know. Oh my gosh. Um, Noticing your time of day. So when those times of days when you're feeling especially vulnerable, for me, like I said, that anything after lunch before dinner is for me, or nighttime eating used to be, like I said, notice what you want to do and then make a non-food plan that's equal or better. So for me, when I would come home I would be out doing meeting with people as a sales rep. I started taking a nap. Yes, a like 15-minute nap in the middle of the day, go outside, read, do a puzzle, do something that's equal or better. In the evenings, sometimes for me, what's helpful is figuring out what's going on, find something equal or better, examine why this might be happening. So think about your day, think about how you're talking to yourself. Are you celebrating what you did? Like, are you encouraging yourself throughout the day? A lot of times, nighttime eating is showing up because we're not giving ourselves breaks during the day. So that's one of the things that's helped me to learn about nighttime eating was I started giving myself a little bit of a reprieve during the day. And then all of a sudden, I didn't need to go face down in a bowl of ice cream at night because I was talking to myself a little bit nicer. Habits are another thing, especially in the evening. I feel like for for me, for sure, it was a habit. Another solution for that is just sit in a different chair, sit in a different spot. That if you always sit and watch TV and eat popcorn or ice cream, move yourself. And again, just lastly, noticing how did you talk to yourself all day long. Lastly, I just want to mention that there is a process called the trigger food exercise that I do with my clients. And it's a worksheet as well as an experience. It's an exercise that we do together. And basically, you take the trigger foods, the food that like I said, it was peanut butter ice cream for me. I was convinced that I would not be able to stop eating it. And I take you through a step by step process to help you to neutralize your emotions around that food, that you can eat it with control, notice how it feels in your body. And it's real slowly. There's a thing called exposure therapy that you expose yourself to it. You teach your brain that, oh, I actually can control myself around this. If I can control myself around this, what else can I control myself around? And it's so powerful. It's a really powerful exercise. Okay, step two, what to do during an urge. First of all, just notice that it's when you're feeling an urge, we're going to allow it to come through. Sometimes there's like maybe no, you don't notice the reason. You just feel like I just need chocolate this minute right now, or someone's going to get hurt. Just notice that it might take about 90 seconds for it to flow through your body like a wave. So how to handle that in the middle of this happening is to find a way to interrupt. Pause, change your change your physiology, move to a different room, and just stop yourself. For me, I had this happen. I was over at my mother-in-law, so we have an in-law suite attached to our house, and my mother-in-law has these yummy yogurt-covered pretzels, and I was like, getting her dinner, and I was like, ooh, pretzels, yummy, and I was opening, just like ready to open the bag, and I was like, wait, hold on, nope, it's a no. This is not who we are anymore, and I stopped myself. I basically like, no, this is not who I am. So that is an option for you. We don't often tell her, we don't give ourselves permission to do that. We've told ourselves so long that we can't control ourselves so that we don't stop ourselves. Um, the last thing, when you're eating, so say you're in the middle of the urge and eating your sleeve of Oreos. I like to use this example because I did eat a sleeve. I used to eat them sleeves at a time, right? Like, you have to like make it even, right? So if you're mowing yourself through a sleeve of Oreos and you stop halfway through, then it's time to celebrate. Because if you hadn't done that before, you're getting better. So, any of those, this is one of the things I teach my clients. We talk about this a lot is celebrating the small things. This is one of those small things that I celebrated as I was losing my 80 pounds. When I would catch myself, I'm like, check me out. I'm a rock star. I stopped halfway through. I only ate 8 Oreos instead of 12. Like, woo, woo. I'm getting there. And next thing you know, it was 2, and then it was 1, and then it was 0, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But making that a celebration instead of like, it should have been better, I should have been perfect, I shouldn't have done X, Y, or Z. Um, it's good to know, right? It's good. That's not going to make you feel good. That's not going to make you feel empowered. Whereas celebrating and going, look how much better I am than I used to be. That's amazing. And you feel have so much more power in your body. Okay, step 3 is what to do after you've given into an urge. So again, noticing when you're eating out of control, you're going to be compassionate and curious and not judgmental. So when you notice, just give yourself some compassion and get really curious as to think, why do I think I've overeaten or eating out of control? And I love this question. You might want to write this down. Why does it make sense? Why does this make sense that I have done this? And start thinking about, why did this make sense for me? So I want to encourage you guys, for those of you who are in my group, we have this overeat exploration roadmap or worksheet. This is the thing that I use. I still use it all the time. Whenever I notice I'm having an out of control eat or feeling an urge, I'll grab one of those sheets. I use my iPad now, but when I had printed them, I would print a whole stack of them before I went on vacation. I printed a whole stack before the holidays. I printed a whole stack before I was going down to Austin, Texas to be with my sister when she was sick, because I knew I was going to need them. And I did. And they really are super helpful. That roadmap is super helpful in uncovering why you are overeating. And for today only, for those who are new and that decide to sign up, so I'm talking about the replay people here, then you will get this overeat exploration roadmap for, for signing up within 48 hours to the Lose It Forever weight loss program. All right. So that's a tool. Also, I want to encourage you to find some other tools that might be helpful in you uncovering those things. Asking for help, call your coach, jot it down send someone a message, journal, do that trigger foods worksheet, which I had talked about, get some coaching right in our Facebook group. Um, we talk about, so one of the things that happens when we overeat, especially if we eat in secret, is there's shame attached to it. One of the things that shame can't survive in is exposure to the light. So when you tell another human about your overeat, all of a sudden it loses its power. It's amazing how it works. It feels really scary. It feels really vulnerable, but I've seen it work for me and I've seen it work for my clients. That once you talk to a person about it, all of a sudden that shame loses its hold over us. Hugely, hugely powerful. Then the last little section of this is deciding on your next best action. When you think about your next best action, resist that urge to pull back or overcompensate. So remember when I said, how like the scale goes up, you have a binge, you have an overeat, you have a eating out of control session, and your next day, like, that's it, I want to get back to where I was. So resist that urge, because your brain is going to be like, well, if we could just magic genie it and go back in time and pretend this didn't happen. I know, I just won't eat. So just notice that, resist that urge to overcompensate, to pull way back on your food, to punish yourself for overeating. So just notice that and resist that urge to want to like do that whiplash thing. Because guess what will happen? You're going to say you stop eating. Then you're like, that's it. I'm going to punish myself because I was a bad person. I shouldn't have eaten that sleeve of Oreos. Then time comes around, you get really hungry again, someone comes by with a donut, and next thing you know, you're face down in donuts. So this brings me to my next step, which is anticipate obstacles. So anticipate when you're thinking about your next best step, anticipate what obstacles could come up. So your next best step could be, I'm going to plan my food today. I'm going to have a food plan. I'm going to whatever, plan out my food. I have it prepped, all ready to go. And this is what I'm going to do. This is my next best step. After that, you're going to ask yourself, what obstacles could stop me from following through with that? And just anticipate those obstacles and then solve for each one. And lastly, very last step is visualize yourself succeeding. So visualize yourself planning your food, making the food, eating with control, putting your fork down between bites, taking a breath, being kind to yourself. What is it going to be like? Just actually physically go there and like visually go there in your mind. And your mind is so powerful, it actually thinks that it did it. So when you visualize ahead of time yourself, like I'm gonna leave a bite of ice cream next time I have some. That's my next best plan. Like let's say you decide to do that as a plan. I'm gonna get ice cream out. I'm gonna stop eating about when I feel satisfied, and I'm gonna leave 2 bites behind. Visualize what that feels like. Here it is. The ice cream's still in there. I'm gonna throw it out, and the obstacles could be gonna feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm gonna still throw it in the trash. And I'm gonna be so proud of myself. I'm gonna high five myself, and I'm gonna get on that scale, and it's gonna be lower. And visualize what that looks like. Your future self, who she is, and what she looks like in that. All right. Any questions about the manageable urge method? It's a lot of stuff, like I said. That's why I'm glad my recipes were kind of short today. Any questions? If you want to write in the chat, you're welcome to. Or Sue, if you have any questions, you can ask. So thank you guys for being here. So for those who are not already in my program or coaching with me, you're welcome to stay on if you want to just hear what I have to offer. For those on the replay, would love to share with you my offer and how I can help you lose all your weight forever. So like I did, I will just, so for those who you who are on the call and you want to jump off, you can roll off now because you're clients of mine. Or if you want to jump on and say, hey, this is what I like about it, you're welcome to do that too. But you're certainly welcome to roll off. I'm going to be talking to the folks on the replay who are not yet working with me because this is such an amazing opportunity to finally lose all your weight forever. So I want to explain what that looks like. So if you're rolling off, I will say farewell and I love you. And if you want to stay on, that's totally fine too. So I appreciate the support. So when I was losing weight, there are ways that you can do it. You can do things on your own. One of the things that I realized is that when I was losing my weight, I recognized that I needed help. I did do quite a bit on my own, but it wasn't lasting. And I got to a point where I realized I needed help, and that's when I hired my coach. So I realized that when it comes to doing something new that I've never done before, even now, I still need help. So that's why I hire coaches to help me with my business, with my life, with my relationships. Um, what is a coach? What is coaching? What are we talking about here? So let me explain that a little bit too. A coach is a cheerleader and a guide. So someone who can navigate a path that you've never been on, to look out for obstacles that in the past would have tripped you up. So I love the fact that I have been through this weight loss journey and some of you have not. I know what to anticipate. I know what obstacles that might be coming up. I know through this like forest of, you know, confusion, and I know what obstacles I dealt with and what obstacles my clients deal with. So I can help anticipate those obstacles and help you. And in a year, your life will be unrecognizable, just like mine is. So that's what happened to me, and it happened with my clients. So today's topic, which was the manageable urge method, is just one of the tools that I teach. I also offer several more tools to help you with your weight loss. So for those of you who've tried everything to lose your weight and haven't been successful, my sustainability weight loss system has been proven with my clients and myself to achieve permanent weight loss. It's the answer to losing all your weight forever. I help you identify your own food protocol. So I don't teach the way I do weight loss is I don't teach you, I don't give you a plan. I don't give you calories to count or points to count. I just ask you to create food that you'll actually eat. And then you notice how you're feeling. So noticing what you're eating without judgment and planning it in a simple, doable way. And then you can also make tweaks to improve it as you go. I help you learn to build trust with your body, to learn what physical hunger feels like versus emotional hunger. And for those emotional hunger things, we start talking about that's what we talk about in coaching. And once we solve for those emotional things, then all of a sudden the physical stuff takes care of itself. It's amazing. I also teach you how to celebrate your wins. So each week on our call, on our Lose It Forever call, I teach you how to, we talk about things like the Oreos and stopping halfway, and we cheer each other on. And what that does is several things, but one of the main things is it helps you want to keep going and keep doing what you're doing that's working. So I have a client, MH, who has actually lost 30 pounds. And we recently had a conversation, and she said, she gave me a couple takeaways that she learned from it. And she said, journaling and writing down her food literally takes so little time. And now it feels like a non-negotiable. She's the one that I had done a post about it, and where she's like, yep, I decided not to do it for a week. And she's like, boy, was that a mistake. She's like, it really is no big deal. Like we trick our brains into thinking it's like so hard. It's just so much work. But she's like, it really is no big deal. It takes literally 5 minutes, and it made all the difference in the world when she put it back on her plan. Or, she made it happen again. She also learned she's okay with being a little bit hungry. That's something I teach, that hunger is not an emergency. She learned the value of leaving bites behind. And she said she was coming, and she came to me and she's like, well, I'm not overeating. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But we talked about it, and I just challenged her to like really drop into her body and listen to it. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I was eating too much food. So it's really interesting. She no longer sees food as a treat. She sees food as just food, and she always feels in control. And she just loves that phrase that she's been telling herself, which is, I am always in control. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be thinking about. She also, lastly, she learned to love to look at the data. So one of the reasons of tracking and noticing and evaluating your food is just tracking how much you're eating, what time of days you're eating, noticing your patterns. One of the things we talked about one time was water, and she's like, "Oh, I drink all my water." And then I told her about another client who was tracking her water, but not really. And then I had her track it. She's like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't drinking my water." So just sometimes noticing that what we think we're doing versus what we're actually doing is just super powerful. So during the calls, we spend time sort of poking those holes in the way of old diet thinking and old diets, losing weight. I created a really doable system that helps you lose all your weight forever. Um, so then after we get the planning your food and assessing it dialed in, we start talking about simplifying how to plan that. So with my food planning blueprint, we talk about food prep and food planning and how to keep it as simple as possible. So it's not about making Instagram worthy meals, but how can you make this work for me that is simple and so possible for me? So again, planning food you actually want to eat is the core of this. And then with me, when I first started, it was lean, like this is where I was at, like just accepting with a radical acceptance, radical self-acceptance. I was only able to do lean cuisine. Like I said, I'm not a cook. I don't enjoy cooking most of the time. I am now, but hanging out with you guys is so fun. But I would eat lean cuisine, fast food, and um, I was able to eat it with control because I put it on my plan, and I just accepted that this where I was at that stage in my weight loss journey. And that's what I started with when I was at the upper end of my, weight, and then little by little added in some different steps that serve me now, and I sort of eat it very differently now. But at that time, that's where I was, and that was really accepting of where I was at that point, I think is so powerful. Also, my husband and I don't eat the same thing. So that's another one of the obstacles that a lot of people feel like I can't plan my food. My husband's the cook, my husband's the grocery shopper. We don't eat this, we don't like the same thing, whatever, or he makes the food and I can't decide. So the truth is my husband and I don't eat the same thing. He sort of does his thing, I do my thing. My mother-in-law does her thing. She's got a dental issue, so she can't even eat the same things that we want to eat either. So she can't even eat salad, and I love salad. So we just do. I make a bunch of food on a Sunday, and we're set for the week, and it's worked out great. Um, then after you get used to noticing what you're eating and planning your food, then I teach you. Then we sort of dig into how to build self-confidence now with my self-confidence cure. If you are one of the things that we teach when you might be feeling when you're first losing weight is when you're feeling hopeless and frustrated, and you just want to like move away from that version of yourself. So I help you to accept where you are, radically fall in love with yourself, and then I help you notice how you're talking to yourself. And then we come up with a more supportive way to do that, making better decisions. And when we mess up, guess what? I have a process for that as well. And for this, like I said, for this call, I'm talking about this overeat exploration worksheet roadmap that you are welcome to use today. It's a very powerful tool. Like I said, I use it all the time. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. So after those three things are in place, then we talk about urges. And like I did today, I teach you how to manage your urges, how to manage ahead of time, how to manage during an urge, how overeating after a weekend will become a thing of the past, because I'm going to be teaching you all the tools that you're going to need to manage all the urges, whether before, during, or after. Um, to stop villainizing certain foods or thinking of other foods as treats or comfort. It's really in how we think about those foods. So you can enjoy a cookie on a Tuesday when you plan for it and not overeat it, because I'm going to teach you how to eat your food with control, because you're always in control. So by the time you complete my program, you'll be able to be around any type of food and with eating with control for sure. Also, I will be talking about this topic, which I know was very long. I'm going to be working on that for about a month when in the program, in the Lose It Forever program. We actually are going to be spending a lot more time. There's a lot to unpack there to deep dive into that. So my client, Joy R., she came feeling stuck and overwhelmed, and I showed her how to approach weight loss from a place of love and self-compassion. She says, exactly, so she said, she calmed me down and helped me to drill down into exactly why I keep eating what I don't want to eat, which is really super. When we find the cause of it, and we can fix the cause, then we no longer have that issue. So you'll be moving into a peaceful, centered version of yourself so that you can enjoy life without overeating and beating yourself up. Wouldn't that be amazing? So this all happens on our weekly call. Let me just explain a little bit of what you get. So included in the membership is a weekly coaching / teaching call with me. So I teach for the first little bit. The calls, they start off with a little bit of a teaching session, a teaching of a concept with, you'll have like doable, actionable tools that you can apply right away, followed by group coaching. What group coaching looks like is one person gets coached, then the other, while the rest sort of apply what is the coaching to them. What coaching looks like is that I am your guide. So through that process, I'm going to be asking some questions. And I think of this as active, that this is something that you can do to apply, that the true transformation can happen, because you're not just sitting back listening, you're actually applying what this coaching could mean for you. So I'm in several group coaching programs, and that's exactly what I do. So when the coach asks the question, I think to myself, oh, what is it that how can I apply that to me? And very often I will have a huge transformation on the call. So um, because I'm a guide in your process, I help you to find the solutions that work best for you, individually curated just for you. So teaching is so valuable, but the true transformation really does come from coaching. However, if you can't make it to calls live, it's not a problem. Just like today, I always do a replay. I send it out within 48 hours, usually sooner, so you won't miss a thing. You actually do not miss a thing. So I have a client, LS. She lost 20 pounds at least so far, at least I know, since September, attending calls when she can, but she's not able to come live most days. So mostly just by watching the replays, she's been able to get what she needs. But more importantly, she navigated the holidays with ease. And I just heard from her, and she said that she's shopping for smaller jeans. So it's like she's at a new low, which is just so encouraging. So this actually works. Whether you're able to be there live or not, it's not a problem. So when you're joined today, if you join this week, we're within within this next week, there are 28 weeks worth of coaching calls with a teaching component. They're organized by topic, so you can just go through and pick them. So there's urges, there's overeating, there's planning, there's the holidays or vacations we talk about. And so you can just sort of pick and choose whatever this situation you're in. You can just pick whichever you need, sort of just like Netflix. You can just kind of cruise through, and they're phenomenal. Like I said, between the coaching and the teaching is amazing. We also have a wonderful Facebook community that's filled with like-minded women who want more for their lives and are supportive and encouraging and lift each other up. I offer printable resources for you to take the work deeper. In addition to the past coaching calls, I also have a library of like 20 different videos that help support you in your journey. Physical hunger versus emotional hunger, feelings, topic, journaling, why we stay stuck, and so, so much more. So the price is $560 for the year. This works out to about 46 bucks a month. So the price is kind of unheard of in the diet industry. I love the annual membership option because it's best for most of my clients. Guarantee that they'll they get their all the way off forever. Took me 2 years plus 20 to learn these techniques and apply them. So until I felt completely confident that I could do it on my own. So it took me at least probably I would just say, never mind, not 2, 3 years. It took me 3 years to actually learn. Because this is forever, this sometimes it's not a quick fix. It could take a bit of time. Some people take longer than a year because you are literally changing from the inside out so that you'll never have to go revisit those 5 pounds again. When I think about this price, I think about Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig. Don't forget there's like GLPs, weight loss surgery, etc. I think Nutrisystem comes out to about 3,000 a year. I'm actually not sure right now what the price of Weight Watchers is, but this is the thing. I've been a Weight Watcher, and it doesn't matter how much it costs because it didn't stick. I also have clients that have had weight loss surgery that are on GLP ones that are have been through some of those things too. And until you get to the core, to the reason that you're overeating, it doesn't really matter because physical hunger is just one piece of the puzzle. It's when we eat for emotional reasons. That's why we are overweight. All right. So yeah, planning the food saves you the money. I'm just saying, it's amazing. So imagine yourself a year from now, lighter in mind, body, and spirit for just $560. Awesome. Or I do have another option, and it's a monthly plan for $55 a month. Each person is different. For some people, and you know who you are, that you may take what you're learning and apply it to itself, that you love to do it yourself. You're a DIY person. So the monthly option might be best for you. You learn the tools and you're off and running. So for example, I do have a client that worked. It worked that way. She was one of my very first clients. She worked with me for about 12 weeks, and then she even continued to lose more weight after we stopped working. So, but she was not typical. I would say for most of my clients, myself included, it does take time to undo past diet trauma that we've all endured from being overweight, or for others, learning to lose weight after menopause. So this comes up quite a bit for my clients as well, that you've never had a problem with weight loss, and all of a sudden you're needing to have to lose weight for the first time, and you didn't know that, first of all, that it's possible, because a lot of the chatter out in the world is telling you that it's not possible. So I want to learn that you basically never had that weight problem before your body changed. Nothing's going wrong. Radical self-acceptance. This is where you are now. Once you can accept that, then you can solve for that. And so I help you learn to accept the body that you're in so that you can do what's best for you. And it may take a bit of time. So if you sign up today, you'll have access to our calls from Thursday. You'll actually have access to all the replays right away the minute you sign up for the Lose It Forever weight loss program. Plus, I'm offering a bonus if you sign up within the next 48 hours that I will be offering my Overeat Exploration Roadmap, which is such an amazing tool. It helps you to slowly guide you to the reason that you're overeating. It helps you notice patterns so that you can see and prevent future overeats. It also helps guide you to make your next best decision going forward. It's a hugely, hugely valuable tool. Like I said, I use it all the time. So if there's any questions, please jot them down and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching today's call, and I appreciate everyone for spending some time with me. If you have any questions or you want to chat, I am here for you. I am here for you. I would love to help guide you on this weight loss journey. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks. The end of the call, there's going to be an exclusive invitation for those of you who have not. Hello and welcome to Food Prep Live. If you want to lose 5 pounds forever, this is the place to be. We're going to talk all things urges today. I have amazing, amazing information. So here's my thought about this. I have so much to talk about today, and we're going to try to, by the end of the call today, give you something really amazing to eat for the week, this mushu chicken lettuce wrap and the